Well, welcome to another edition of the Digicel Sports Show right here on Islandstats.com. I'm your host, very tired, Earl Baston. And joining me is co-host Jason Juggling J. Ford.
Very fresh.
Yeah.
Had a long night, did you, buddy?
Very long night.
I wonder why he had a long night.
That Ron Bull.
Would it have something to do with the Dudley semifinals?
He had 9 goals and 360-something minutes plus penalty kicks.
Yeah. And you left the field probably about 1 o'clock in the morning.
Well, the game ended around 12. So went there on the first, got home on the second. Not good.
Let's talk about this story more after these messages.
If I'm awake.
You may have heard Digicel is bringing the only true fiber to the home network to Bermuda. But what does that mean? Fiber to the home is the fastest and most reliable way to access the internet. And with Digicel's fiber internet, the fiber goes all the way into your house. It doesn't just stop at the street. That means you get consistently fast speeds you can rely on. Think of it as a brand new internet highway that goes all the way into your home or office, and you can be one of the first to enjoy it. Visit digicelbermuda.com/fiber to register your interest in Bermuda's only true fiber to the home network.
First game, Jay.
Well, I said it in the last show. Flip a coin.
The problem was they all flipped a coin.
And the coin kept flipping?
Kept flipping and flipping and flipping. First half ended 0-0. PHC and Robin Hood. Both teams trying to feel each other out. And it was funny. Had a conversation with the one of the coaching staff of PHC and a coaching member of Robin Hood at halftime. We just happened to be talking. And the same thing was said. Both teams are just trying to feel each other out. Both teams, neither team wants to make a mistake. It's almost like we want to get to extra time and hopefully try to get to penalties or whatever. That's what the first half looked like. Second half came, Robin Hood raised the tempo just a bit and got a goal. Now PHC were forced to
pick
fight
up
back.
and match the intensity.
They got a penalty and scored, which was very interesting because it made the last 30 minutes or 20 minutes very interesting because again, both teams went back into that shell like, I don't want to give up, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that. Now you get to extra time. A minute to go in the first half. Corner, you would have thought, if you was going to put your money on Dante Leverock scoring, you was going to say, okay, it's going to come from a header. No such thing. The ball came over, bounced around in the box, and he was on hand, tapped the ball into the goal. 2-1. Not much time to regroup because I don't even think they centered off. The referee called for halftime. Two teams switched around, and then it was all out. We've got to go all out.
Got to go all out, yeah.
You know, and the fact that PHC were struggling. They had a player pull a hamstring or suffering from cramp. They had already made the 3 substitutions. Unfortunately for Robin Hood, Chris Casey got himself sent off for kicking out at a player. I guess, you know when things are getting tight, the tackles get a little harder. He didn't like it, reacted, straight red card. So now Robin Hood's down to 10 men. It was so long of a night, I can't remember what the score was when that happened. But PHC were able to capitalize on just some of the errors Robin Hood were making defensively. Robin Hood got away with a lot of things going wrong in the defense early in the match, where PHC clearly they had Sequoia Robinson standing on the 6-yard box, goalkeeper laying down, no one to beat, and he kicked the ball wide.
Well, that's not going to happen 9 times out of 10.
Well, it happened that once. They hit the upright. They were just squandering chance after chance. And the equalizing goal came from Keyshawn Bean, and it was, the ball came over, he was by himself, got through, the ball had gone through, he got one-on-one with the goalkeeper, and it was almost like the goalkeeper decided, you know what, he's going to blast the ball. So I'm going to make it look like but I'm bailing out. I'll check you guys later. So he went to his right. The ball actually hit him in the leg and ricocheted into the net.
Wow.
And then 2 minutes later, a corner for PHC, Gilmore scramble, and Ian Griffith blasted the ball home. Wild scenes of celebration for PHC because now they knew Robin Hood only had 10 men. It was a matter of minutes left in the match, even to the point where the Robin Hood coach questioned the 15 minutes, questioned the length of the 15 minutes with the referee at the end of the match, stating that he thought he had an extra 3 minutes. Referee didn't see it that way. I think he gave like 2 more minutes after the goal and called it into the game. So, long night for the first match because it didn't end until 9:30. Second match starts. And it was funny because it was a joke between the match officials that, okay, guys, the night shift's on, we can go home. And it was one of those things where the night shift guy says, we're not going to be here too late. But they actually were there later.
A little bit longer than they expected.
Yeah. North Village scored first. Bit of a dubious goal, but a goal nonetheless. Devonshire Cougars equalized, making it 1-1. Then Devonshire Cougars were forced to make an early substitution with Mallory going down injured.
Which I think we're going to talk about that later.
Yeah.
Because I think that's going to play a big part going forward.
Yeah,
but
for
we'll talk
about it. Mark Steed came on. He actually put them ahead in the second half. With time running out, Jonathan Bryers scored an equalizer for North Village. Into overtime, no goals, and then the dreaded kicks from the penalty mark. North Village had a penalty saved. Devonshire Cougars didn't.
That's what sums it all up. And once again, that second game, we stated it on our last show, flip a coin.
Oh, yeah.
Because we felt it was that close, and playing on a neutral field, it could be anybody's game.
Yeah.
The interesting part now, going forward, that leads to a rematch of last year's WA final. And we'll talk about more about that probably in our next show, or the show leading up to the finals. Probably the next show. The difference of the two teams.
Yeah.
So I'd like to get more. We'll probably give you some more information about the history of these two teams in this cup. Because recently we could just tell you that Devonshire Cougars won it last year.
Right.
But, the PAC has a lot of history in this cup, particularly. So we give you more of that information on the next show. But just going forward, it's going to be interesting because these are the 4 teams, realistically, we expect to be fighting for every trophy.
Yeah.
And depending on, you mentioned something, injuries and the depth of the teams, that's what it's going to depend on, who comes out the victor of probably most of the cups, or who's sustainable throughout the year.
Right.
I know a couple of these teams are going to be looking for when their college kids come back on that break, or to give them some type of relief. But how many games are they going to really be playing besides the cup
during that
period of time? So does that really help some teams? It may not. But it's going to be interesting because obviously right after the Christmas break, you're going to have the FA Cup, which will be following almost directly afterwards. And then you'll be talking about the home stretch of the season. And to be interested to see, you talked about strategy now, pretty much goes out the door because you sort of know what each team's capable of.
Right.
You know the main players. You know the style now. It's just a matter of the will.
Right.
Which team has the will on the day? And we as players, some days, got it. You talked about it the last show.
Right.
Sometimes we might need somebody else.
Right. To step up.
Step up because we know how they play. We know where they want to run the things. Now, unless the coach is doing some extra training, which we just talked about it. If a lot of teams are having back-to-back games in a very short amount of time, he's not doing much training because of the fact he needs these players to recoup.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting going forward, but I'm glad it gives it, the fans that were there, they could see the parity.
If they were still awake.
If they're still there. But there is parity in the league.
Yes.
There's not like, say, okay, there's a team running away with everything. And I'm pretty sure right now we could probably say, even still, PAC's probably had a so-called battle season so far. But last year, nobody saw Cougars winning that Dudley trophy.
No.
And for Cougars to be in the Dudley finals, I think nobody's even surprised that they're in the finals this year either.
Right. No, not at all. Because when you're the defending champions and you get to that point where it's all out to try and defend the trophy, to get to defend it again.
And they're playing well.
Yeah.
They might have been under the radar a little bit this year, but they've played well. So
confidence in winning games, man. I don't care if you've played Crossroads Social Club, Hamilton Parish. Yeah. When you start winning, breeds that confidence, and you feel as if you could beat anyone. And until you lose those matches, they lost 3-0 to Dendy Town. But until you lose those matches, you still have that confidence that you could win.
And for me, I think that's the more telling thing from last night when it comes to Devonshire Cougars. Them rebounding off of that loss.
You realize it's now North Village has lost 3 in a row.
Yeah.
That's worrying times for them.
No.
Yeah, it's got to be. Got to be. You scored goals.
Yes.
But you're giving up more goals.
You're leaking goals. And,
you're dominating teams, but you're not putting them in.
We talked about that because you got the goalkeeper of the year in between the sticks. And he's not like he's having a bad year.
No.
So when you have a goalkeeper of the year between the sticks, 9 times 10, he's cleaning up a lot. We just talked about it. He's cleaning up a lot of mistakes.
Right.
That people are exposing. But it's time.
Well, just reflecting on last night's game, the first game.
The only thing I can say for Village, for the fans' sake, it's been a minute since I've been in the final.
Yeah.
It's been a minute.
Yeah.
It's been a minute.
You said 3 minutes, so it's been 3 minutes that long.
It's been quite a while since I've been in the final.
Yeah, but getting back to what I was saying last night, in the first game, reflecting, I saw something happen, and it kind of changed the pace and the level of the game. Sequoia Robinson was playing up front for PHC. When Robin Hood scored, they started to push forward. So the coach made a technical change and brought him back into the midfield with Trey Mean, pushed the youngster forward, and the whole game changed. Robin Hood, he was actually cutting out, him and Trey were actually cutting out a lot of the stuff that was going through gaps because of their speed and their ability to read the game. And at one point in time, Sequoia even ended up playing sweeper, where he was going that far back to get the ball.
Right.
So in doing that, the defense of Robin Hood tended to relax a little more because they didn't have that threat of Sequoia outpacing them. So on a technical change, it sort of worked for PHC because it now and see Robin Hood never adjusted to it. They kept going, which opened up spaces in the back.
And that's the I won't say the mind game, but that's the game within the game. Because you've seen it tactically, right? Now, tactically, PAC have made some adjustments. We cannot sit here and say, tactically, Robin as coach didn't make the adjustments. Or we can say, they didn't respond.
Right.
So sometimes we have to be careful sometimes because I don't want to say a coach didn't do it and he didn't know. He may have put it in place.
You didn't hear those instructions.
But in saying that, but that's also a coaching moment or a learning moment for them. And this is where sometimes, like I said, we're still only first quarter of the season. So what do you show? How much of your hand do you really show?
Yeah.
And if you can get away with showing the least amount of things until you need to, but it's that element of surprise, and that's probably something that was game planned because they have played Robin Hood.
Oh yeah.
So
it's the third time this season.
Exactly. So this is something that could have been in the mind probably the first or second game, but was never implemented.
Right.
So and like you said, because the game was tight as it was, you know what? Now let's try something. Because we've probably been working on it.
Right.
And I mean, as a former coach, you work on some things and you put in your back pocket.
Yeah. If this isn't going right, you go to Plan B.
Yeah.
Plan C.
Or Plan D.
Yeah. So you got to have a plan, and everybody's got to understand what the plan is.
So
that's why you work on the training.
And that's where the training comes in, is to execute. Because now at this point of the season, you shouldn't be. The focus really shouldn't be on fitness. Your team should be up to fit.
Yeah.
in these levels that you need to be.
Right.
Okay, so we're not spending X amount of time. We'll do our drills, get your blood flowing, get the sweat going, but you shouldn't be cramping up.
No.
You shouldn't be cramping up.
Yeah.
I mean, there's going to be and I'm only going to say this, there's going to be a time when the weather does change. There's always fear of pulling muscles because not warming up.
Right.
I'm not being fit, but warming up. And I think that's gonna probably happen within the next probably month or so. But it's gonna be interesting how this all plays out because, like I said, here we are in November and it's still quite warm.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. But staying with football, Jay, I just want to talk a little bit about following the FA Cup draw on Tuesday as the only media at the press conference.
Surprised.
Got a chance.
You gotta have your own chair and table up there, right? That's Earl's Corner.
Got a chance to ask the chairman of the Leagues and Competitions, Shannon Bridges, about the issue that we discussed on Tuesday with regards to matches being postponed, with international matches on the back.
I've heard some calls. People have called me about it. What we
Oh yeah, and that was the thing. So last night, I was challenged a few times, and realistically, I bumped into Shannon, who said he was challenged a few times, but in getting to explain it, because some people had only seen it on television, others had seen the whole thing. So the ones that only saw it on television were challenging it. The ones that had seen it online, the entire thing, were in agreement with it. And mainly in agreement
with what?
With what was said by Shannon.
Okay.
And only because it came down to this one thing. The clubs have agreed to it.
And see, that's the buy-in. That's the buy-in. We talked about probably a few weeks ago, when it comes to major decisions, the clubs sit down at the table with the association. Now, whether you send your representative there,
that's on you.
That's on you. Whether that information comes back to your club when you don't send a representative, that's on you. But very fairly, they will take a vote.
Yeah.
It's just that simple. And if the vote is in favor of, then they will go through with it. Now, it's pretty sure a lot of issues are not, without pushback.
Right.
But it's the majority. And because of the buy-in, and I think when you look at the buy-in, like for me, I think it still keeps one eye on. We still need to have a productive international or national team.
Right.
For me, I'm gonna keep going back to this, is that if I'm the head of a club, okay, or I'm a head of a boarding school, the more international or more national team players I have in my setup, it's easy for me to sell my program.
There you go. So I want more.
Because they're gonna think I'm doing something
right. Yep.
Well, I'm not. That might just be on talent itself.
Yep.
So, and even in saying that for a club or a school or whatever, it builds well for them also. You word that with pride. And we keep saying, going back to that word pride, this is where it's, and not to go off subject, but like take for instance, those guys, and this is what should happen. Those players that go play for their national squads, that training session before they go or the training session afterwards, when they come back to the club, they should be congratulated. They should be acknowledged.
Right.
And make them feel good to say, you know what? I, Jason of Devonshire Cougars, I went and played for the national squad, but I'm a Cougar.
Right. And you should be next to the teammates.
Exactly.
Yeah. You could be next.
How many of us we got our team in the squad?
That's encouragement.
But Some folks see it other, and I respect it. It's not like I don't. I see the other side of it.
Right.
I do see the other side of it because as a coach, you want to have your best players at all times.
But as you said, the first round of the FA.
That's the part that kills me, Earl. I can understand if it's the finals.
Yeah.
I can understand if it's the semifinal. The first round where you're playing basically lower division. You're not getting it. You're not gonna get me on that one. Sorry. I respect your decision, but not the first. No. There's nothing you can tell me as you're a top team playing a lower division team that I need to have all my guns blazing. Sorry.
And we'll be back with more after this message from our sponsor.
You may have heard Digicel is bringing the only true fiber to the home network to Bermuda. But what does that mean? Fiber to the home is the fastest and most reliable way to access the internet. And with Digicel's fiber internet, the fiber goes all the way into your house. It doesn't just stop at the street. That means you get consistently fast speeds you can rely on. Think of it as a brand new internet highway that goes all the way into your home or office, and you can be one of the first to enjoy it. Visit digicelbermuda.com/fiber to register your interest in Bermuda's only true fiber to the home network.
Well, Jay, the last show we talked about Patrick Nisbet. Competing indoor in Belgium, competed for 4 days, won 2 events. Brand new horse. It's actually exceeded his expectations. Let's get a rundown of the 4 days of Patrick Nisbet competing indoor in Belgium. Patrick Nisbet continued competing in the CSI 2 and CSI YH1 Oberback International Horse Jumping Indoor event at the Centaur Park in Belgium. On day 2, Nisbet competed in 2 classes, winning 1. Nisbet and Jawad Diensbach Z won the 1.20 meter CSI 2 in 2 phases class. The pair recorded a clear first phase time of 52.45 before clocking a clear second phase time of 29.36. Competing in the 1.30 meter CSI 2 in 2 phases class, Nisbet and Balaz finished 51st. They clocked a clear first phase time of 32.93, but they clocked a time of 38.79 in their second phase to go along with 4 penalty foul points. Patrick Nisbet continued competing in the CSI 2 and CSI YH1 Uppergladbeek International Horse Jumping event in Centaur Park, Belgium. On day 3, Nisbet competed in only 1 class. Nisbet and Jawad Diensbach Z finished 5th, competing in the 1.30 meter CSI 2 in 2 phases class. The pair recorded a clear first phase time of 61.89 before clocking a clear second phase time of 29.49. Patrick Nisbet concluded competing in the CSI 2 and CSI YH1 Uppergladbeek International Indoor Horse Jumping event in Belgium. Nisbet on the final day competed in 2 classes, winning 1. Nisbet and Jawad Diensbach Z won the 1.20 meter CSI Table A in 2 phases class. The player clocked a clear first phase time of 63.26, and then they clocked a clear second phase time of 32.30. Competing in the 1.35 meter CSI 2 Table A class, Nisbet and Balaz finished 9th. They clocked a clear round time of 61.14. Well, Jay, Patrick is a former PhD zebra.
Former PhD zebra. Fullback.
Yeah. Every time we talk, he asks me how my zebras doing. How my zebras doing? Because you know he always reminisces about the time he used to play. I used to tell him, "You used to get me away, man." So now you got a horse getting in.
No, he was a good fullback. He was a good fullback, and came from the hill. So he got his lumps and bumps. But no, he came up in an era where you're talking about Ty Williams, JoJo, Kyle, a lot of those guys played along with him. Craig Evans, who's now in Boston, he was one of the goalkeepers at the time. He remember Lunchbox. Lunchbox probably don't play anymore. Obviously, he don't play anymore. Noah Hayward, who was center half for years of PAC. I'm Kenny Mills, and he could tell you the score because
now he's jumping over everybody.
But you know what? He was always interested in horses, and because he was at very close ties with Nelson Hunt.
Yes. Yeah.
So he was driving and riding horses with Nelson for many years, right up until he left.
Right.
It was surprising for some, but not for many, because the people around the neighborhood knew
what he was into.
He was always into. He was always into the horses.
Yeah. Well, another person close to the parish of Warwick, Vanessa James. Competed in Canada with her
She's doing some moves that I don't watch. Probably like Olympic time, Olympic time.
Yes.
Our eyes get drawn to ice skating.
Yeah, sure.
But I got to see some of the footage with her and her partner, and some of the moves. I've never seen these type of moves before in my life.
Not even on the dance floor.
And then it came third. I'm like, well, who came first? Who could come first? This is technically I'm tan. I'm biased. But no, it's once again, even though she's been skating for France, we know where those ties are.
Yes.
And it just makes me feel like I almost feel like I know her.
Right.
Oh, I want to know anyway.
Yeah.
Hey, Vanessa.
Cousin. Bermudian.
Yeah.
Cousin.
That's my cousin right there. But no, I mean, go with your story. I just had to break out.
But we'll get the roundup of Vanessa James and Morgan Cypress competing in Canada.
Oh boy.
Vanessa James and Morgan Cypress of France competed in the free skate pairs competition at the 2017 Skate Canada International ISU Grand Prix. The French pair finished third in the short program after recording a score of 73.04. Alona Shevchenko and Bruno Massat from Germany won the event with a score of 77.34, with Canadian pair Megan Dummau and Eric Radford finishing second with a score of 73.53. Vanessa James and Morgan Cypress of France continue competing in the free skating pairs competition at the 2017 Skate Canada International ISU Grand Prix. The French pair finished second in the free skate program after recording a score of 70.70. Canadian pair Megan Dumont and Eric Redford won the program with a score of 75.84, while Alyona Sevchenko and Bruno Mascat from Germany finished third with a score of 65.23. Vanessa James and Morgan Cypress of France concluded competing in the free skate pairs competition at the 2017 Skate Canada International ISU Grand Prix. James and Cypress finished third overall, this after finishing third during the short program, and they finished the free skate program in second. The French pair finished with a combined score of 214.37 points. Canadian pair Megan Dumont and Eric Redford won the event with a score of 222.22 points, while Alyona Shevchenko and Bruno Massat from Germany finished second with a score of 215.66 points.
You may have heard Digicel is bringing the only true fiber-to-the-home network to Bermuda. But what does that mean? Fiber to the home is the fastest and most reliable way to access the internet. And with Digicel's fiber internet, the fiber goes all the way into your house. It doesn't just stop at the street. That means you get consistently fast speeds you can rely on. Think of it as a brand new internet highway that goes all the way into your home or office, and you can be one of the first to enjoy it. Visit digicelbermuda.com/fiber to register your interest in Bermuda's only true fiber to the home network.
Jay, after a grueling match on Friday night at the Squash Rackets Association Club, Michael Franklin traveled to Baltimore. He met up with Noah Brown, and they competed in a $5,000 PSA tournament. Let's get the roundup of Noah and Micah on day one, and obviously Micah, because he advanced, on day two. Michael Franklin and Noah Brown began competing in the $5,000 men's Meadow Mill Open in Baltimore. Brown went down in 5 games to Omar Sobi from USA. Sobi jumped out to an early 2-0 lead, winning the first game 11-6 and the second game 11-8. But Brown would fight back and win the third game 11-3 and the fourth game 11-8, and it would come down to a fifth and final game that Sobi would win 11-4 to win the match 3-2. Franklin would advance to the next round of the qualifiers after he defeated Patrick Baddour from Canada in 4 games. Franklin would comfortably win the first game 11-3 before winning the second game 11-9. Baddour would win the third game 11-4, but Franklin would end the game as a contest, winning the fourth game 11-9. Franklin attributed his success in this match to a new strength.
First of all, congratulations, Michael, on your win. Take us through the 4 matches.
Thanks very much. Quite happy to get through it, to be honest, after last week playing in the local tournament and having that tough match with Kristen Johnson. My body was still hurting and needs a couple more hours to recover, but I'm really happy that I got through it in the end. First 2 games, I won fairly straightforward. I was playing quite well, quite relaxed squash, and enjoying it, and could tell. In the third, I started to get a little bit scrappy. My legs started to tire a little bit, and he found a way back into it, which kind of a lack of discipline on my end. And then in the fourth, it was quite toe and toe, not much in between it. It was a little bit of a contentious, scrappy affair. Sometimes he could get in the way a couple points, and I ended up squeaking it 11-9 in the fourth, which I was pretty happy to get it over with and not take it to a 5th game.
Does this help with your mental toughness? I know you said you physically need some more time to rest, but what about mental toughness?
Yeah, I think the mental toughness side is something, a part of my game that's improved in the past a few months. Finally learning about, like I said in our last talk, that you just got to find a way to win even if things aren't going your way. Mentally, it comes down to that. If physically you're struggling a little bit, then you've got to still kind of compensate. But whatever you can do to get the win.
It must have been a little disappointing to see Noah lose earlier in the day, but he gave a valiant effort. What about him?
Yeah, thankfully enough, me and Noah are here together at the same tournament, so we were able to help each other. Watching him play earlier in the day was tough. He got off to a bad start, quite a slow one. Took him a few points to get back into it. Eventually, he found a way back from 2-love down to level it up to 2-all, which was a great job from him. He was fighting hard. In the 5th game, it could have been anyone's game, really. They were both quite tired. You can tell it was going on to about the hour mark. And unfortunately, Noah just lost his length a little bit and played his opponent's game rather than his own and lost it 11-4. But I know he's disappointed, but this is still the start of the season, and I've been where he's at. You got to take your wins and your losses and just go with them and not let it get to him, and hopefully him learn from that loss and move forward.
Michael Franklin went back to battle, competing in the $5,000 men's Meadow Mill Open squash tournament in Baltimore. Franklin advanced to the qualifying final round after winning his first round match, but he would fall 3-0 to Babatunde Agbege from Nigeria in straight games 11-9, 11-8, 11-8.
Well, unfortunately for Micah, just didn't have it left in the tank. A grueling match on Friday, travel Sunday, play Monday, play Tuesday, play Wednesday. It's a lot on the body. Okay, so we spoke a lot about this on our last show, as far as the physicality, giving your body time to recoup, or are you training up for that moment? This is the one time now it backfired.
Wow. Only one good thing for them is this the first game of the season.
Right.
For the professional round.
Right. So it has pushed his body.
Let's see how far I can take it.
It'll probably be a little bit easier now.
Yes.
It becomes a little bit easier now. But in saying that, because he was trying to get in a tip-top shape so early, sometimes you go a little bit too far, too early, too fast.
Well, still learning.
Oh, yeah.
Back to the grind. Now you know where that threshold is for your body.
He's going to have some time to rest now to get his body back good now. So.
In talking to him, I don't think he's going to have that much time, because what you want to do, remember, him and Noah are still trying to qualify for Commonwealth, and they need to get their rankings up and stay up in the Caribbean. So remember, there's a lot of guys in the Caribbean that's also going to be looking to do the same thing. So, and amongst them in the Caribbean, they're going to be able to find matches a lot quicker.
I was coming out of that tournament. I'm more concerned with Noah Brown to get that get his rankings up?
Well, he's now living and working in New York, which is allowing him, and he's doing full-time squash in New York. So it's allowing him to play against top-level guys all the time.
Yeah.
But getting to the tournaments, that's the key. You got to get into these tournaments. You got to be, you got to get out of the qualifying stages, get into the main draw. Once you're in the main draw, points come a lot.
Question, because I've never heard you mention it, but I'm questioning. Do these guys have sponsorship? Local sponsorship?
To my knowledge, Digicel was sponsoring Micah. Not so much Noah. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is.
Just thought to ask because that's what these guys need to get to that certain level to, like you see, travel to these tournaments.
Yeah.
It's coming out of the pocket, and if you're not advancing, it's a hit every time you go.
Every time you go, yeah.
Yeah, it might be a $5,000 event tournament, but if you're not placing,
if you're not getting into the qualifying stages where the money starts to come in,
you're not offsetting your costs at all. And especially if you're doing it full time, that means no money coming in that week at all.
Right. So you've actually lost more than you've actually gained, even experience. Because mentally you're saying, "Oh man, I've lost money." Even though the experience you've gained, in the end, you look at it and say, okay, well, how am I going to eat next week?
Exactly.
So those are the type of things, yeah. Now, Jay, a youngster, Christian Eben, has had 2 good events over the last 3 weeks, and that's in the sport of sailing, Optimist Sailing. Got a chance to speak with Christian earlier today about his event in St. Petersburg, Florida, and the Junior Girl Cup right here in Bermuda. Well, youngster Christian Eben, you've had 2 remarkable events that you've just finishing as the top sailor from Bermuda in both events, St. Petersburg, Florida, and then the Junior Girl Cup here in Bermuda. What have you been doing to prepare yourself for those 2 events, and the end result's been great for you?
Well, I've just been training hard, sailing 1 to 4 times a week, every week, and doing physical training.
What were the conditions like in St. Petersburg that helped you to finish as the top sailor for Bermuda and 7th overall?
Well, they were kind of windy, and the wind was always going up and dropping down, and it was always shifting side to side.
But here in Bermuda for the Junior Girl Cup, you had a few choppy days, and then obviously the tricky winds inside the Hamilton Harbor.
Yeah, it was the first 3 days, it was just howling. And then the last day, there was no wind, and I'm one of the lighter sailors, so I got ahead in a few races and came second in one.
So what do you do next? What's next for you? You stay in the Optimist, or are you looking to venture out and do another boat?
Well, I have 3 more years, and I'm hoping to win and be our national champion next weekend at our nationals. And then maybe in 2 more years or so, I'll sail another boat, maybe a laser or a foiling boat.
Now, the laser, you're going to have to put on a little more weight. You're going to have to get a little taller. You ready for all that?
Yeah.
So what are some of the other things you like about sailing that gets you really juices flowing and keeps you interested?
Freedom. You can do whatever you want when you're out there.
Just steer clear of everyone else.
Yeah.
Have you learned how to read the wind yet, or are you just sailing off of just, anything?
Well, I know how to read the wind. When the wind goes left, you would like to go left, because then you'll be pointing higher on a different tack or so. Yeah. Or if the wind picks up, you're going to have to work harder to keep the boat flat and keep it going fast.
Okay. And you quite enjoy that?
Yeah.
Now, you say because you're lighter, the heavier winds makes it a little more difficult, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you find yourself out in the Great Sound on, I think it was Thursday and Friday last week, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and the winds are just, you see white caps. Yeah. Going out, what are you telling yourself?
Just to do my best and try to get all top 5s.
Yeah. All right. Well, congratulations, and we look forward to national champs next week, and good luck.
Thank you.
Okay.
You may have heard Digicel is bringing the only true fiber-to-the-home network to Bermuda. But what does that mean? Fiber to the home is the fastest and most reliable way to access the internet. And with Digicel's fiber internet, the fiber goes all the way into your house. It doesn't just stop at the street. That means you get consistently fast speeds you can rely on. Think of it as a brand new internet highway that goes all the way into your home or office, and you can be one of the first to enjoy it. Visit digicelbermuda.com/fiber to register your interest in Bermuda's only true fiber to the home network.
Well, Jay, this morning, the Bermuda national hockey team departed, heading for Jamaica for the CAC qualifiers. Got a chance to speak with Jasmine Patterson.
I think you know her.
Kind of knew her.
I think you sort of know her.
Yeah, kind of knew her. Yeah. Got a chance to speak to her prior to departing. Let's get the interview with the Bermuda striker, Jasmine Patterson.
What is the aim and ambition of the team this time around trying to qualify?
Well, in 2014, that was the last time the team traveled. I wasn't selected as part of that team. However, this year, our fitness levels are, I would say, 50% much better. We're really out there to win. We're competing against 5 other teams: Jamaica, Guyana, Panama, Guatemala, Puerto Rico. We're playing Puerto Rico on Sunday is our first match, and we really just want to go out there and put some goals in the net, because that's something that our team have always struggled with over the years in previous competitions, and our mindset changed, especially after beating Shippensburg, the National Division II college side this summer in August. So we really have that confidence now, and we want to show people what we can do with this sport.
Well, a lot of pressure's on you because you're the striker.
That's right. I started out as a defender, center back, and now I found myself up in center forward for the first time ever. It's something I love to do. I'm passionate about it. I love the sound of the ball hitting the backboard, so I'm really just going to give it my all.
Very young team, but a balanced team. The youngsters will need some help and guidance. This is one of your first international tours. So how do you senior players plan to manage the overzealousness of the youngsters?
Well, this will be my 4th time traveling with the national team for Bermuda. And these girls have done mini tours to Philadelphia and the States, and so they know what it's like to be on a strict schedule and to really focus when the time is needed. So these girls are very mature for their age, and they're passionate about this sport as well, and they're great. They take guidance, and they teach us that this can be fun as well. So it's mixing that balance of focus and play is where we're aiming for.
All right, well, good luck.
Thanks, Errol.
Well, Jay, you heard from Jasmine, you've heard from Christian, heard from Micah, heard from a lot of people today.
Yeah.
And that's all we have for today's show.
Sorta.
Because
I know because you're out there, beating the pavement, sometimes you don't get to see the international sports on ESPN.
I do.
Okay, so I'm surprised you didn't pick this up. On Monday, they have the top plays.
Of the week?
The top players of the day. From
okay.
the day before.
Right.
So and coming in, I want to say at number 3, Bermuda's own Philadelphia.
Okay.
On ESPN's top plays, obviously with the Dick there.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yes, I know I get him on. I get him on something one day. But no, once again, to see Philadelphia on ESPN.
Yeah.
I was like, all right. Hey, keep doing what you're doing, Flora.
Indeed. And that's actually a message to the organizers of the April event, which we still know nothing about. Let's get Bermudians on board. They want to support Flora, they want to support the event. But without the information, how are we going to get on board?
And that is a whole nother topic that we can get into in another show.
That'll be an hour by itself.
Because we had some history of a lack of information.
And then it's shoved down people's throat, which then you get that pushback.
We've had that happen before.
Yes. Well, folks, have a good night from the Digicel.
Good luck, girls.